The Young Bucks make the save. They reunite. And they did. This was my funniest thing. They do both Young Bucks. They both extend their hands to shake Kenny's hand. I'm like, there's two of them and one of him. He's not going to shake both of their hands. They're
It's
going
like, oh,
to.
they're gonna hug.
They're going to hug. It's
Eh.
just very funny. I'm like, he's not going to shake their hands. He's going to hug them, but he's going to do it in the most Kenny Omega way possible, which is awkward. So, kudos to them. They got back together. The money doesn't matter. I really hope that on Wednesday the Bucks go to Kenny and they're all friends again, and they end the segment with like, "Can I borrow $100,000? I never got my cut from last match." And Kenny being like, "All right, fine."
I hope they do something with this.
Yeah, they'll come out to Carry On My Wayward Son at the pay-per-view, and everyone will be happy about it.
We've just seen this so many times, and it feels like and it's not totally their fault on the latest, because Kenny was out for a year, unfortunately, and he's come back, and I truly just don't know how much like single stuff he wants to do at this point. But like they missed the boat on doing a Kenny and Jack Perry singles match, because they were kind of setting that up when they dumped the organs on the cake and everything. They missed the boat on just doing more with like Kenny and the Bucks. Like it was an elite reunion, but it never felt like there was a heat between them. It always felt like it was, oh, well, the Young Bucks need money, and Don Callis is offering them money. Here's Kenny Omega because he's feuding with the Don Callis family. It never felt like there was anything between the Bucks and the. It never felt like there was anything between the Bucks and Omega, even though there should have been, based on what happened last year when he got taken out by them and sent to the hospital with Okada and everything. Like Don Callis had become so central to all of this, and it became less about, again, the Bucks and Kenny and more about Don Callis. And now my fear moving forward is it's just going to be more elite and Don Callis stuff, and I do not care about that. If you're gonna do this elite reunion, which they are, then you got to give me something more than, hey, here's a bunch of trios matches with the Don Callis family, because you can do about 15 different iterations of the Don Callis family. Let them go after the Ops. The Ops are running things right now. They got the trios titles. Joe's got the world title. Let them go after the Hurt Syndicate are kind of baby faces now, so I don't know if you can do that. Like, do something different and go after Ricochet and the Demand, because I'm tired of the Demand against the Hurt Syndicate. Like, you've got other options. Have them. I know the Death Riders are kind of doing their own thing, but do something with the Death Riders. There's other potential avenues there with the Elite that is not just, let's continue to live in our own bubble with the Don Callis family and just kind of doing our own little thing here. I'm fine with the Elite reunion. I think Kenny Omega is one of the best ever, even though he's now washed and he was carried by Kota Ibushi all those years. But if they're just gonna keep doing Don Callis family stuff, I don't really have an interest in it. I want to see them do something a little bit different.
Ken's adding in from being at the show. He says Don Callis family is way overexposed, and he was out there for half the show, and I understand that. It's like you want to be in the Don Callis like business in this case, because he does a good job of getting the heat and getting the guys, hated. But at the same time, if you're overexposing Don and he's there all the time and he's always on commentary and he's always in the backstage segments, yeah, you can get Don Callis burnout. So when was it Ibu Ibu said something about like 70% of the serviceable work rate heels are in the Don Callis family, and it wasn't like he wasn't using that as like the statistic, but the idea being that like the majority of the heels are in Don Callis family, and you can't just stack everyone into one group and then use Don as like the conduit through which they travel. Some of them are also talkers. Like Don's there supposed to be talking for certain members, but like Josh can speak, Okada can cut a promo, Takeshita is fine. Like you have all these guys who do a good job. Could you be a mouthpiece for Mark Davis? Yeah, of course. Kyle Fletcher certainly does not need it anymore. So I think with Don, you just have to be careful with how you continue to position him, and let some of the other guys explore being on their own and being like, Don, I've got this. Stay in the back. And let that be not breaking away from the family, but trying to find some trust away from just being a Don Callis family member.
I mean, if 70%'s in Don Callis' family, the other 30 are in the Death Riders because
That's also
they
true.
have
What about
Yuta
the
and I mean, they're not heels anymore. So
what about
listen,
the demand? There's the demand.
Yeah, I mean that's 3 people, and just
listen. All this, if you want to get the demand versus the Hurt Syndicate out of the way, you call them the Elite Syndicate, and then you can have the demand match.
I just hope the Elite does stuff with other people and not just more Don Callis family stuff. We're gonna get Omega like talking to Takeshita and being like, "You don't want to be with these people," and blah blah
You're
blah.
better than this.
Nah,
You're better than this. And Takeshita being like, "No, I'm not," and Okada being like, "He's a bitch," and then he just keeps doing that.
I just want them to like do something interesting. That's all. That's all I'm asking for. Is just do something interesting because I didn't think the reunion was all that interesting.
Well, I think that's because it was such a. Sorry to cut you off. I think it's because the Young Bucks, for better or worse, are very good at like making it syrupy and schmoopy and like hitting you over the head with like, this is what we're going to do. This is what's happening. They're not good like storytellers, but they're good in-ring storytellers. You know what I'm trying to say? That you knew this was coming. You knew because it was so heavy-handed. It was so over the top that like it felt like an indie storyline being told on televised network or on a television pay-per-view. So for that, it's like that's pretty typical Young Bucks fodder. And some people are going to eat that up because it's very soap opera drippy bullshit. But other people, like maybe you and me, are going to be like, it could have been a little more nuanced because I like something that's a little more thought out from a television perspective.
And my issue with it was just it didn't feel like they did enough with the heat between the Bucks and Omega. The whole thing just felt too much centered around Don Callis and the Bucks being broke. And on their own, both of those things are like fine storylines, but it didn't feel like it was enough of Kenny Omega does not like the Young Bucks for all they did. Because even like Omega just being like, oh yeah, cool, Jack Perry and Luchasaurus, we're just pals now. Even though I know they did the segment, but I think that's literally all it was, like one segment of, all right, we're just, okay, I see what happened here. We're just friends now. Like there should have just been more to all of that stuff. Because remember we thought we were going to get, at least some people did, of Omega and Hangman against the Bucks. People thought that was going to be a potential arc, and that never went anywhere. And Kenny just Kenny was more battling the Don Callis family here than anything to do with the Bucks. It didn't feel rewarding for this reunion. It felt like it was hey, we want to do this because we need to get the Bucks back babyface, and this is the way to do it. So we're just going to put the Elite back together.
I think honestly, at the end of the day, we're going to look at this and be like, it's just not our story. It's very much you'll see online the elite girlies type of conversation, and it'll be like, and you know what? If they love it, great, because wrestling it's a variety show, and maybe this story is just not the one that you and I would tell, but it's certainly getting some people excited, and I'm just gonna have to run with that.
If people like it, more.
No, go ahead, bury the elite girlies. Do it, Jeremy. Bury them.
Like I like all of these people. That's the thing, is I like them all individually and as a team. I just wish the payoff was just a little bit more rewarding. That's it.
Yeah, there's plenty more over on Fightful Overbooked. Click that subscribe button, tap that bell, get your notifications, and while you're at it, like the videos, interact with them, say some stuff. We want to hear from you. While you're at it, join us every Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, live for In the Weeds. You might like it.